Few figures in Chinese history are as admired and mythologized as Zhuge Liang. For centuries, he has been portrayed as the ultimate strategist, a man of infinite wisdom, perfect loyalty, and almost supernatural intelligence. In popular stories, he predicts the future, manipulates nature, and outsmarts every enemy as if the world itself were a chessboard. To many people, Zhuge Liang is not just a historical figure. He is an ideal. But history becomes dangerous when admiration turns into mythology. So today, we must ask a difficult but necessary question. Was Zhuge Liang truly the greatest strategist in Chinese history, or has he become overrated? Not because he was weak, but because expectations were raised impossibly high. To answer this question, we must separate legend from reality. Most of Zhuge Liang's reputation comes from the novel Romance of the Three Kingdoms, written more than 1,000 years after the actual events. This novel was not intended to be objective history. It was moral storytelling. Heroes were exaggerated, villains were simplified, and Zhuge Liang became the embodiment of wisdom itself. Historical records present a far more complex picture. When Liu Bei first recruited Zhuge Liang, he was not searching for a battlefield mastermind. He was looking for a long-term strategic planner and political advisor. Zhuge Liang's famous Longzong plan was not a detailed military blueprint, but a realistic political vision. Secure the southwest, ally with Dongwu, resists Cao Wei, and wait patiently for opportunity. At this stage of his life, Zhuge Liang was not commanding armies. He was designing survival. And survival was exactly what Shu Han needed. After Liu Bei's death, Zhuge Liang inherited a deeply fragile kingdom. Shu Han had the smallest population among the three kingdoms, weak economic foundations, and extremely limited manpower compared to Cao Wei, which controlled the central plains and vast agricultural resources. Zhuge Liang understood that no amount of clever tactics could erase this structural imbalance. That is why his greatest achievements were not dramatic battlefield victories, but disciplined and often boring administration. He reorganized agriculture, strengthened logistics, enforced strict laws, and held even powerful officials accountable. Under his leadership, Shu Han became internally stable and highly efficient in an era defined by chaos. This brings us to the most controversial part of his legacy, the Northern Expeditions. Zhuge Liang launched multiple campaigns against Cao Wei, traditionally portrayed as heroic attempts to restore the Han dynasty. From a strategic perspective, however, these expeditions were extremely dangerous. Every campaign stretched strategic sea, fragile supply lines, and every loss, no matter how small, hurt Shu Han far more than it hurt Cao Wei. Zhuge Liang did win battles. He captured territory and defeated enemy generals. But he could never afford a single catastrophic failure. This limitation shaped his entire military style. He favored discipline over improvisation, control over surprise, and logistics over bold, high-risk maneuvers. War, however, often rewards those who are willing to gamble. His main opponent, Sima Yi, understood this perfectly. Sima Yi did not try to defeat Zhuge Liang through brilliance. He chose patience. He fortified his positions, avoided decisive engagements, and waited. Time itself became his greatest weapon, because as long as Cao Wei endured, Shu Han would slowly weaken. In fiction, Zhuge Liang is often shown constantly outsmarting Sima Yi. In reality, Sima Yi neutralized Zhuge Liang by refusing to lose. Eventually, Zhuge Liang died from exhaustion and illness during his final campaign, still carrying the full weight of a kingdom that history may never have allowed him to save. So was Zhuge Liang overrated? If we judge him by the standards of legend, the answer is yes. He was not an invincible general. He did not reverse fate with clever tricks, he did not change the balance of power, but perhaps that is the wrong standard entirely. Zhuge Liang was not trying to be a conqueror, he was trying to be a guardian. He held together a fragile state against overwhelming odds, delayed collapse, and preserved order where chaos was the norm. He may not have been the greatest battlefield commander of his era, but he was one of the most responsible leaders in Chinese history. Perhaps Zhuge Liang is not overrated. Perhaps we have simply misunderstood what true greatness looks like.